always seemed as if she was looking around, as if someone could be following her.
When I found out she went to Michigan, you gotta ask yourself, why did she go to Michigan?
There was a lot of pandemonium. Yeah, do you threaten to close the doors on in Baltimore, at a church in Baltimore?
He said they were shooting outside, said close the door to make people safe.
Oh, no.
Now, he said,
in biblical days, they offered livestock, grain. That was a type of currency. Note, if you will, I did not say money. I said currency.
What if the gospel world isn't as holy as it seems? What if one of the most celebrated voices in modern gospel, Marvin Sapp, is hiding something dark? Today, we're diving deep into one of the most chilling, mysterious, and highly speculated cases in the gospel industry. The tragic disappearance and death of Dr. Teleka Patrick, and her eerie connection to Pastor Marvin Sapp. And now, explosive whispers that Hezekiah Walker may be pulling back the curtain on what really went down. Y'all, the streets are talking. Could it be a tragic case of obsession gone too far? Or was Taleka silenced after uncovering something she was never meant to see? Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll see how all the pieces, every odd detail, every hush-hush conversation might just connect.
Zoo County Sheriff says the body they recovered earlier this week in Indiana is that of missing Michigan doctor Teleka Patrick. 7 investigator Hezekiah Walker has been following this story that has made headlines around the world. Heather, this is so sad for Dr. Patrick's family.
It really is, Glenda. The sheriff says it appears that Teleka Patrick drowned. There were no signs of trauma on her body, and their investigation has revealed that she was very troubled, but hiding it well from the world.
So, Doctor, Teleka Patrick was a brilliant, driven, and on her way to becoming one of the top psychiatrists in the country. A 30-year-old medical resident working at Kalamazoo's Borgess Medical Center. Teleka had a promising career ahead of her and a clean record. But underneath that perfect resume was a woman quietly unraveling, and her unraveling seemed to orbit around Marvin Sapp. Now, here's where it starts getting weird. Teleka had allegedly been sending letters, tweets, and even videos to Marvin Sapp. And yes, romantic videos, not just the simple, usual gardening videos. She called him her spiritual husband. And while some dismissed her as a stalker or mentally unstable, others started asking deeper questions. Like, how did she even become so fixated on him in the first place? Because according to some whispers, he reached out first. People close to her say she had never even attended his church. So, how'd she end up being blocked from contacting him and slapped with a personal protection order? And if she was truly unstable, why hadn't anyone stepped in sooner to get her help? Her disappearance wasn't just a mystery, it was ominous. She vanished in December 2013. Her car was later found abandoned with her wallet still inside, and months later, her body was pulled from a lake in Indiana. The official cause? Drowning.
Details in the case of a missing young Michigan doctor who vanished nearly 3 weeks ago. Does just released video, though, hold the answer to her whereabouts? ABC's John Mueller has the latest.
You're looking at newly discovered surveillance images of Dr. Teleka Patrick inside the Radisson Hotel in Kalamazoo, Michigan from December 6th, the night she mysteriously vanished. The 30-year-old doctor is at the desk clerk, trying to book a room with cash and appears to be in a rush. After being turned away, Patrick uses the hotel shuttle to take her to her car, located at the Borgess Hospital, where she worked in downtown Kalamazoo. 2 hours later, her car is found abandoned in a ditch off I-94, more than 100 miles away from the hospital in Kalamazoo, with her wallet still inside.
But those closest to the case never bought the accidental drowning story, and as we'll see later, neither did Hezekiah Walker, because some people believe Teleka knew too much, and the people she allegedly tried to warn, well, they might have looked the other way. And let's get into the $40,000 question. But this isn't your typical church donation story. We're talking about $40,000 that Marvin Sapp demanded from his own church members. This wasn't just a normal collection plate situation. Marvin apparently put serious pressure on his congregation, and it's left a lot of people asking if this was just a weird coincidence or a cover-up of something much darker. Now, here's where it gets even crazier. Marvin didn't just ask for donations like a regular fundraiser. Nope, he forced his church members to contribute at least $100 each. And get this, the ushers locked the church doors and nobody was allowed to leave until the full $40,000 was raised.
Close the doors for me for a quick moment. I want everybody to remain standing quickly. How many of y'all really received something from the word of the Lord tonight? Listen, when you study scripture, you will notice that whenever God did something in the lives of the patriarchs of old, the patriarchs would pause.
To make him apologizing not sit well with y'all either, in my opinion. Now let's take a listen to him on the Ricky Smiley morning show explaining what happened in the apology.
People took issue with me saying shut the doors. Understand, I never said lock the doors. Yeah. Shutting doors means that people still have the ability to go in and out. And I can honestly say, looking at the video, maybe I was a little more assertive than I should have been. And I can apologize for that. But
imagine being stuck inside a church with no way out until you've given up serious cash. This wasn't some optional donation. Marvin was determined to get that money, and it was clear that this wasn't about any regular ministry need. So, what did Marvin allegedly do with this $40,000? Well, some say it went into his church's funds, but that's where the story gets even more suspicious. It's believed that part of this money was allegedly used to cover his wife Melinda's medical bills. She was battling colon cancer at the time and tragically passed away in September 2010.
She was a key player in the development of a Grand Rapids Southeast Side church known for her ability to connect with the city's youth. Dr. Melinda Sapp, the wife of gospel music singer Marvin Sapp, died this morning after a lengthy battle with colon cancer.
Of course, paying for her treatment is understandable. No one would question that. But the secrecy surrounding this money? That's the part that raises eyebrows.
1,000 people giving what I'm about to challenge you all to do will be $20,000. Now, for those of us who are on the dais, I'm taking you higher, so put it back. I'm a strong believer that leaders lead not only in time, not only in talent, but also in treasure. Leaders lead in time, talent, and treasure.
Some believe the timing of this money could have had more to do with covering up something bigger, like the growing investigation into the mysterious circumstances surrounding Teleka Patrick's disappearance. When you look at the whole picture, Marvin's actions, the pressure on his congregation, and the secretive nature of the donation, it's hard not to wonder if there's more going on behind the scenes. And who better to expose the truth than someone who's been in the know all along, like Hezekiah Walker, who's never been afraid to call out what others tried to keep hidden. For those who don't know, Hezekiah Walker is a close acquaintance of Marvin Sapp. So, when rumors started circulating that Walker had insider knowledge about the Teleka Patrick case, things got way more interesting.
We started back in 1985.
There are whispers that Hezekiah Walker has seen things or knows things that could seriously change the narrative about Marvin Sapp's involvement in Teleka's disappearance and death. Some sources suggest that Walker knows about certain details, specifically alleged critical evidence that Marvin Sapp may have intentionally suppressed or withheld from investigators. Now, let's stop and think for a second. If Marvin was truly innocent in this whole thing, why would he want to hide anything? Walker's alleged claims seem to suggest that Marvin might have tried to obstruct the investigation. And why would he do that if he wasn't somehow connected to the events surrounding Teleka's death? What's even more suspicious is that Hezekiah Walker hinted at some discrepancies in Marvin's public statements about Teleka's disappearance. Walker's comments made it seem like there were inconsistencies in the story that Marvin had been telling the media. These inconsistencies? They pointed to a man who might be trying to cover his tracks, trying to hide something more sinister than he was letting on. At this point, you might be thinking, okay, but what does the church have to do with all of this? Let me tell you, this is where things take a wild turn. Marvin Sapp's church, which has been an integral part of his career and his public persona, might not be as innocent as it seems. Could it be that his church played a role in managing the narrative around Teleka Patrick's disappearance and death? Some people believe that Marvin's church had a hand in concealing the truth, and it's all tied to Marvin's reputation. We've already seen that Marvin allegedly used church funds for personal expenses, including his wife's treatment. Now, what if he also used his church's influence to downplay or misdirect the media's attention away from certain details in the case? The idea that Marvin's church could have been used as a shield to protect his image and possibly protect him from any legal trouble has been speculated by some insiders who know how tight-knit church communities can be.
Understand that David is saying that the reason why I'm grateful to God is because he could have exposed. I can't get no help here. He could have exposed me, but he loved me so much that he wanted to keep my influence intact. And see, that's the reason why you can still testify. That's the reason why you can still witness to people, because if they knew your real story, if they knew all the stuff that you really had to come through, you might not be able to talk to nobody about nothing.
The question here is, how far would Marvin go to protect his career and his reputation? Could he have leveraged his church's power to influence how the case was being portrayed to the public? If Marvin truly had something to hide, the church could have been a useful tool in controlling the narrative, even if it meant manipulating public perception. This church cover-up angle is another piece of the puzzle that has yet to be fully explored. Before we dive even deeper into the drama surrounding Teleka Patrick's case, let's take a quick detour and talk about Marvin Sapp's past, particularly his teenage years. Now, this isn't something Marvin talks about too often, but it's definitely worth mentioning for context. When Marvin was just a teenager, life hit him hard. His parents' divorce left him reeling, and like many young people in tough situations, he turned to unhealthy coping mechanisms. Marvin himself has admitted that during this time, he was wilding out, turning to substances, alcohol, and partying to numb the pain of his broken family. In interviews, he's openly confessed that he smoked, popped pills, and drank heavily, a lot, just to get through the rough patch. He even said that he was in a dark place mentally and emotionally, struggling to find his way.
Well, I started smoking marijuana at the age of 12, started drinking and popping pills at 16. I snorted my first line of in the basement with my boss at 18, and I was in church every Sunday. And what's so amazing is what changed my life is my cousin got killed. And when he lost his life, and it just really just said, Marvin, that's not the type of lifestyle that you want to live. And, again, my mother and father got divorced, and I was just being very, very rebellious and just got caught up and got caught out.
But here's the twist. Could this troubled history have shaped some of Marvin's later behavior? The same man who was once trying to escape his pain through substances is now dealing with massive scandals, a questionable past, and an ongoing battle with his public image. It's almost like those early struggles, his addictions, his internal battles, might have laid the foundation for some of the questionable choices he's made as an adult. It's wild to think that a guy who's publicly seen as a savior and a spiritual guide has this history. And it makes you wonder if his past is something he's tried to bury, not just from the public, but maybe even from himself. And speaking of the past, y'all remember those questionable collabs Marvin did? In 2013, Marvin linked up with none other than Candy Burris from the Real Housewives of Atlanta for a gospel track called Stay Praised Up. Now, on the surface, it seems like just another positive gospel song, right? But hold up, because things got a little messy once people started looking closer. Candy Burris, as you probably know, is a reality TV star with a pretty significant following. She also has a line of adult toys, which definitely raised some serious questions when she released a gospel track. You might be thinking, what's the issue with that? Well, some fans of the gospel community weren't here for it. Twitter exploded and critics quickly jumped on Candy for what they saw as a hypocrisy. How could she be making gospel music while also promoting her adult toy business on the side?
She decided that she wanted to record a gospel song, so she called Pastor Marvin Sapp to come and record with her. They recorded a song called Prayed Up, and people are coming out the gate swinging, saying that basically she needs to stay in her lane, do her sex toys, do her sex show, do this Atlanta show, and leave gospel where it is. And they say, Pastor Marvin.
And here comes Marvin Sapp right into the middle of it all. Fans couldn't help but wonder why he would collaborate with someone who was promoting things many considered to be in direct opposition to gospel values. Some even went as far as to say Marvin was just in it for the fame and money. It didn't sit well with a lot of fans who believed that Marvin's collaboration with Candy was more about cashing in on her reality TV fame than it was about spreading the gospel message. Marvin, of course, didn't take the criticism lightly. He hit back loud and clear, taking to his Facebook page to defend himself. His response? Well, it was a little odd to say the least. He wrote a typo-filled message claiming there was no compromise on his part and that he didn't condone Candy's lifestyle or life choices. But here's the kicker. He also said, "You don't know the off-camera conversation we had."